Stop throwing your grocery money in the trash. Seriously, every time you cut vegetables and toss the ends away, you're not just wasting scraps, you're throwing away food that could literally regrow and feed you again. What if I told you that the bottom of a leek, the core of a cabbage, even those tiny roots on green onions, aren't waste at all? They're dormant food systems, just waiting for the right conditions to come back to life. And in a time where food prices keep rising and protein-rich foods are getting more expensive every single month, this isn't just a gardening trick anymore. This is survival knowledge, because the trick is we've all been trained into a cycle. Buy food, cook it, throw part of it away, and repeat. But nature doesn't work like that. Nature regrows. Nature multiplies. Nature gives you more. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to break that cycle. You'll discover 10 powerful kitchen scraps that you're probably throwing away right now that can regrow into real, eatable food again and again. And not just that. These aren't random plants. Each one was chosen because it grows fast, requires almost no effort, and adds real nutritional value, including plant-based protein back into your daily diet. By the end of this video, you won't look at your kitchen waste the same way ever again, because what you've been calling trash is actually your first step toward growing your own food at home. The big idea aren't now. Most people are feeling the pressure of rising food costs. You go to the store, spend more than usual, and still feel like you didn't get enough, especially when it comes to fresh and healthy food. But here's something we don't really think about. A lot of what we buy, we don't fully use. Parts of vegetables that still have life in them, we cut them off and throw them away without realizing their potential. Now, this isn't about replacing your entire grocery bill overnight. It's about making small, smart changes that slowly reduce your dependence on buying everything from the store. Because when you start regrowing even a few things at home, you begin to create a small but steady source of food. And over time, that adds up, not just in savings, but in control over what you eat and how you grow it. Shift reframe thinking. We've been following the same routine for years. Buy food, cook it, throw away the unused parts, and repeat. It feels normal because everyone does it. But if you take a step back, you'll realize something important. That system is built on constant consumption, not sustainability. Plants, on the other hand, don't work that way. Many of them are naturally designed to regrow from the exact parts we throw away. The base, the roots, the core, these aren't leftovers. They're starting points for new growth. So instead of seeing these parts as waste, we need to start seeing them as an opportunity. A simple shift in thinking from "this is trash" to "this can grow again." And once you make that shift, even your kitchen starts to feel a little different. Because now, every meal you prepare has the potential to become your next harvest. Selection criteria authority builder. Now, before we get into the list, it's important to understand one thing: not every kitchen scrap is worth regrowing. Some will take too long, some won't produce much, and others just aren't practical for everyday use. So for this video, I focused on 3 simple criteria. First, the plant has to regrow easily from scraps, no complicated steps or special tools. Second, it needs to give you a repeat harvest, not just grow once and stop. And third, it should add real value to your diet, meaning it provides useful nutrients like vitamins, minerals, or even a small boost of plant-based protein. These aren't random picks. They're practical choices that anyone can try at home, even with limited space. So as we go through the list, keep these points in mind, because that's what makes these plants actually worth growing. 1. Green onion scallions. Let's start with one of the easiest and fastest regrowers out there: green onions. Most people cut off the white root end and throw it away without thinking twice. But that small piece is actually everything. You need to grow it again. All you have to do is place the root ends in a glass with a little water, making sure the roots are submerged. Within just a few days, you'll start seeing fresh green shoots growing up from the center. It's one of those plants that gives you quick results, which makes it perfect if you're just starting out. And the best part, you can keep cutting the tops and they'll continue to regrow multiple times. Nutritionally, Green onions may seem small, but they still contribute plant-based nutrients and a light protein boost to your meals, especially when used regularly. Once they've grown a bit, you can move them into soil for even better results and longer life. It's simple, low effort, and a great way to turn something you'd normally throw away into something you can keep harvesting again and again. 2. Leeks. Leeks are another great example of something people waste without realizing their potential. When you're cooking, you usually cut off the bottom root section and toss it, but that base is actually where all the regrowth power is stored. To regrow it, place the root end in a shallow bowl of water. Keep it near a window where it can get some light. Within a few days, you'll notice new green leaves starting to grow. From the center, it's a slower process compared to green onions, but the regrowth is stronger and more substantial over time. Leeks are especially useful because they add flavor and depth to so many dishes, soups, stir-fries, and more. And while they're not a high-protein food on their own, they contribute to your overall plant-based intake, especially when combined with other greens. If you move them into soil after initial growth, they can keep producing for much longer. It's a great example of how something that looks like kitchen waste can actually turn into a steady, usable ingredient in your cooking. 3. Cabbage core. Cabbage might be one of the most underrated vegetables when it comes to regrowing. Most people use the leaves and throw away the hard core at the bottom, but that core still has life in a To regrow cabbage. Place the core in a shallow dish with a small amount of water. Keep it in a bright spot, and over time, you'll see new leaves forming from the center. It doesn't grow into a full cabbage head again, but it will give you fresh leafy growth that you can harvest and use. What makes cabbage interesting is its density. It's packed with nutrients, and while it's not high in protein, it still contributes to your daily intake when used regularly. The real value here is volume and consistency. Instead of throwing it away, you're throwing it into an ongoing source of fresh greens. And once it gets going, you can transplant it into soil to extend its life even further. It's simple, practical, and a smart way to get more out of what you already have. 4. Romaine lettuce. Romaine lettuce is one of the easiest vegetables to regrow, especially for beginners. After using the leaves, most people throw away the bottom base, but that's actually the part that can grow again. Just place the base in a shallow bowl with a bit of water, and within a few days, you'll start to see new leaves forming from the center. It's a fast and satisfying process, especially if you've never regrown anything before. Now, it won't grow into a full-sized lettuce head again, but it will produce enough fresh leaves for small salads or sandwiches. From a nutrition standpoint, romaine adds hydration, fiber, and light plant nutrients to your meals. It's not about high protein here, it's about consistency and freshness. If you transfer it into soil after a week or so, it can grow stronger and last longer. It's a simple reminder that even something as common as lettuce can give you more than one use if you just give it a chance to regrow. 5. Celery base. Celery is one of those vegetables where the regrowth is actually really interesting to watch. After you cut off the stalks, the base usually gets thrown away. But if you place that base in water, something surprising happens. Right from the center, new leaves begin to grow up. It takes about a week to really notice the change, but once it starts, it's consistent. Celery regrowth is more about producing fresh leaves in small stalks rather than recreating a full bunch, but those leaves are flavorful and can be used in cooking just like regular celery. Nutritionally, celery adds hydration, minerals, and small amounts of plant-based nutrients to your diet. Once it begins growing well, you can move it into soil for better development. It's not the fastest grower, but it's definitely one of the most satisfying to watch. And again, it proves the same idea: what looks like waste can actually keep producing if you just give it the right conditions. 6. Bok choy. Bok choy is perfect if you want something compact, fast, and productive like lettuce. It regrows from the base. Instead of throwing it away, place it in a shallow bowl with water. Within a few days, you'll see new green growth coming from the center. It grows quicker than many other leafy vegetables, which makes it great for small indoor setups. Bok choy is especially valuable because it's more nutrient-dense than regular lettuce. It provides vitamins, minerals, and contributes to your plant-based protein intake more than you might expect from a leafy green. After the initial regrowth in water, transferring it to soil helps it grow fuller and last longer. It's a great option if you want something that not only regrows easily, but also adds real value to your meals. And because it doesn't take up much space, you can grow multiple plants at once, even in a small kitchen. 7. Spinach stem regrowth. Spinach is a bit different compared to the others on this list. You can't always regrow it the same way from scraps, but if you have stems with nodes still attached, there's a chance to encourage no growth. Place the stems in water and give them good light. In some cases, you'll start to see small leaves forming again. It's not as reliable as green onions or lettuce, but it's worth trying, especially since spinach is known for its nutritional value. Spinach is one of the better plant-based sources of protein among leafy greens. Along with iron and other essential nutrients, even a small regrowth can add value to your meals. Another approach is letting spinach go to seed and regrow naturally from there, which creates a more sustainable cycle. So, while it's not the easiest plant on this list, it still fits the idea. Getting more out of what you already have, instead of starting from scratch every time. 8. Beet tops. Beets are interesting because even if the root doesn't regrow, the tops definitely can. When you cut the top part off a beet, don't throw it away. Place it in a shallow dish with water, and soon you'll see fresh leafy greens growing from the top. These beet greens are completely edible and actually very nutritious. They contain vitamins, minerals, and a decent amount of plant-based nutrients that support your diet. The leaves can be used in salads, salted dishes, or even blended into smoothies. It's a simple way to get extra food from something you already bought. Even though you won't get a new beetroot, the greens themselves are valuable enough to make it worth it. And if you transfer it into soil, the leaves can grow even stronger. It's another great example of how a small change, not throwing something away, can give you more food with almost no extra effort. 9. Carrot tops. Carrots won't regrow into full carrots again, but their tops can still be useful. When you cut off the top part, instead of tossing it, place it in a shallow dish with water. After a few days, you'll start to see green leaves growing from the top. These carrot greens are edible and can be used in different ways like garnishes, salads, or even homemade pesto. They have a slightly bitter taste, but they add variety to your meals. Nutritionally, they provide vitamins and plant compounds that support overall health. This is more about reducing waste and getting extra use out of your food. It's not about replacing the carrot itself, but about not wasting a part that still has value. And again, it follows the same ideas: small actions that slowly build into a more efficient and mindful way of using food. 10. Garlic. Garlic is one of the easiest things to regrow without even trying. If you've ever left garlic sitting for too long, you've probably noticed green shoots coming out of the top. Instead of throwing those clothes away, you can plant them or place them in a bit of water. Those green shoots, called garlic sprouts, are completely edible. They have a mild garlic flavor and can be used in cooking just like chives or green onions. Garlic itself is also known for its health benefits, making this a high-value addition to your kitchen. While growing a full garlic bulb takes time, the sprouts grow quickly and can be harvested regularly. It's simple, requires almost no effort, and gives you something useful from something you might have thrown away. A perfect example of how nature keeps working, even when we don't notice it. So now you've seen it. What most people throw away every single day can actually be turned into fresh food at home with almost no effort. Not everything will replace your grocery shopping, and that's not the point. The real idea is much simpler. Small changes, repeated over time, can slowly shift how much you depend on stores and how much you can produce on your own. Leek and a cabbage core, a few green onion roots. They don't look like much, but when you start paying attention, they become something else. They become a reminder that food doesn't always end when you cut it. Sometimes, it's just the beginning of the next cycle. So next time you're in the kitchen, before you throw anything away, just pause for a second. because what looks like waste today might be tomorrow's fresh harvest. Start small, try one plant, watch what happens, and once you see it grow for yourself, you won't look at kitchen scraps the same way again.